So this week on Monday, Tuesday morning Australian time, Apple held their annual WWDC keynote, which was rather underwhelming. And it wasn't just the announcements or lack thereof. The whole event kind of just felt rushed and lower production compared to keynotes in the past. There was zero new hardware, and heck, even Tim's farewell speech at the end felt kind of underwhelming too. It just left a lot more to be desired. But that being said, there were a few hidden gems in the announcements, so let's go through those. The keynote started off by breezing through the platform OSs, and I could tell from the very start that this was going to be a Snow Leopard / iOS 12 update. Famously, macOS Snow Leopard maybe came out 2 decades ago, was announced with zero new features but a ton of bug fixes and overall performance improvements. Similar thing happened on iOS 12, and it looks like the same thing is happening with the 2027 releases of OS. I was glad to see that no old iPhones have been dropped from support with this update, going all the way back to iPhone 11 series, which are 7-year-old phones now. This is especially important since Apple seemingly made immense improvements in the overall efficiency under the hood, including the huge improvement to the CPU scheduler, which will most definitely make the biggest difference on the older iPhone. Liquid glass has been another big focus, and now we're given a full slider to just the transparency. And but maybe I'm a weirdo, but I actually like the look of more transparent liquid glass. So, I set that slider to the most transparent setting the moment my old iPhone 16 finished with the iOS 27 update. What can I say? I just like the look. But you know what else I did the moment I finished the iOS 27 update? Yes, I signed up for the new Siri AI, but unfortunately I'm still on the waiting list. Maybe Apple's forgotten about me. I don't know. Wouldn't be the first time. Anyway, we're jumping ahead of ourselves. The new macOS Golden Gate was also announced in a rather underwhelming but unique way. It is an interesting name. I definitely prefer it over Big Bear. Jaws announcing it from his minivan was, absolutely the best. So now the sidebar in macOS is kind of reverted back to the way it looked before. And the toolbars now got a bit of a background and, to help with contrast. And also kind of looks like it's been reverted to the way it looked before. Kind of a theme there. Moving on to the middle third of the keynote, Apple spent a lot of time talking about these new kid or child safety / friendly features to help with parents to their platforms. Mainly iOS, but I'm sure iPadOS as well. Now, I don't have kids, and I'm not a kid, at least not in appearance, so I won't be able to say much, if at all, from a personal standpoint, but what I will say is that apparently this has been a hotly requested feature from a lot of parents skeptical about technology. And no doubt this makes iOS platform a lot more attractive, especially compared to Android as the first platform to introduce kids to. And quite honestly, well done. Round of applause for Apple. It really is in their best interest to get the next generation onto iPhone early, seemingly before they are able to make their own decisions. They'll be trapped in the Apple ecosystem, unable to leave even if they wanted to. Sounds grim, but that's likely the way it's going to work. Finally, we get to the orgasmic part of the keynote, and that's Apple Intelligence. I mean Siri AI. First of all, can we please give Mike Rockwell a round of applause in addition to a promotion to SVP? I mean, this dude is like the most reliable Apple big problem fixer there is. Yes, the Vision Pro development that he oversaw didn't end up being a sales success, but neither was the first iPhone and the first Apple Watch for that matter. Take nothing away from the technology that his team developed under his leadership. And now being the VP of Siri engineering, he is arguably fixing Apple's not only biggest, but most controversial problem. I will say that I expressed a long sigh of relief when I saw that he personally demoed these new Siri AI features, seemingly live in the keynote. The fact that he is confident enough to put his name and reputation on these features tells me that Apple this time is for real. As I said, I'm still on the wait list to try out Siri AI, but I'm looking forward to it. If you want a list of Siri AI features, check out Apple's WWDC 2024 keynote. Siri now gets an app, now with iOS, iPadOS, and macOS, which is great. You can now just look at Siri and ask a question in visionOS. Useful for the half a dozen Vision Pro owners who still use Siri on their device. You can now create Safari extensions and shortcuts, and Image Playground has a new photorealistic mode. And maybe the coolest feature in the demo is the new spatial photo reframing. I'm actually really excited to try that one out. But of course, we can't mention Siri AI without mentioning the Google-sized elephant in the room. And yes, a lot of these models, including the foundation models, are kind of adapted from the Gemini models. But honestly, the average iPhone user is not going to care about details like this. They're just going to notice that Siri just works now and works better and kind of go on with their day. It's the same as them not caring about that the iPhone displays are made by Samsung or the cellular modems in their Pro phones are made by Qualcomm. From their perspective, it just works. Most of the larger models are going to run on Apple's new private cloud compute, which will have usage limits, but users can unlock more via iCloud Plus subscriptions, but no new details have really been provided yet. But unfortunately, this new more powerful on-device foundation model is only available on the iPhone Air, the iPhone 17 Pro series, so that's the 17 Pro or 17 Pro Max, any iPad with M4 or later with 12 gigabytes or more of RAM, and any Mac M3 or later with 12 gigabytes or more of RAM. So this is no doubt a RAM limitation, as all the devices in the above list has 12 gigabytes or more of RAM. And finally, I know Tim Cook is modest and doesn't like to talk a lot about himself, but he has been an absolute goat of a CEO. I wish he added a little more in his farewell speech at the end of the keynote. It is bittersweet to think that this will be his last keynote as CEO, but I am excited to see what incoming CEO John Ternus will bring moving forward. And of course, I'm looking forward to his first keynote as CEO, likely in the September event later this year to introduce the iPhones. And maybe he can start by giving Mike Rockwell a promotion. Anyway, that's it for my coverage of WWDC 2026. Well done, Apple. But while I've got your attention, Apple, where's the new Apple TV? Where's the new HomePod Mini? I mean, come on, Apple, get your shit together. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.